one type of movie character that inevitably evokes a big response.
Hi?
The dead kind. And whether people believe in spirits or not, everyone enjoys a good ghost story.
Death ain't no way to make a living.
Not usually, but it can be a living if you're one of the masters of cinematic illusion, who conjure the big screen's most engaging spooks. Coming up, we'll travel to Wellington, New Zealand, where Michael J. Fox is pursued by demonic spirits in The Frighteners. We'll see how the art of ghost effects was advanced in such haunted favorites as Ghostbusters and Casper. And we'll discover the secrets behind the terrifying apparitions in Poltergeist. Join us on a journey to the other side.
They're here.
Next on Movie Magic. In the small town of Fairwater, a malevolent spirit is on the prowl. And psychic conman Frank Bannister, played by Michael J. Fox, is in way over his head.
He's a guy who was a successful young architect, and he was in a horrendous accident, car accident, and his wife was killed. And because of this experience, he found himself being able to communicate with the other side.
I've drawn up a list of suggestions. Bear in mind, Frank, that we've given you 5 years of loyal service.
As strange as the goings-on are in Fairwater, something equally extraordinary is taking place in the city of Wellington, New Zealand.
Action!
This is where the offbeat chiller, The Frighteners, is being produced. The unusual thing is that this is one of the biggest effects films ever, on a scale few would think achievable outside the United States. At the helm is New Zealand director Peter Jackson, whose last film was the critically acclaimed psychological drama Heavenly Creatures. During that production, Jackson established a special effects company, Weta Limited, in the same complex as his Camperdown studios. Weta purchased one Silicon Graphics computer to create Heavenly Creatures' 30 computer-generated, or CG, shots.
And so with The Frighteners, when we were facing the prospect of like over 500 CG shots, there was obviously a debate whether or not we should attempt to do them in New Zealand. I mean, as the director of the movie, I really wanted to keep the effects in-house. You know, suddenly all this material would go offshore 12,000 miles away. I'd be stuck here in New Zealand, you know, wondering whether my shots were looking any good or not. And I just felt, gosh, this is a frightening way to make a movie.
So Jackson assembled a core group of Kiwi computer animators and software developers to expand Weta's digital effects capabilities. And Wes Takahashi, an alumnus of George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic, was recruited by executive producer Robert Zemeckis to be The Frighteners' visual effects supervisor.
He was saying that it was being done on this tiny island out in the Pacific, and I was thinking, I don't recall any major studios out there. But when I did get down there, I was just amazed that everybody knew a lot about different facets of production.
Yeah, okay, do it slowly, guys.
Breathing life into The Frighteners' posse of poltergeists has also required expansion of Weta's physical and creature effects department. It is responsible for character design and special makeup effects.
The Reaper, Frank.
During filming, the ghosts are photographed separately from the human characters on an all-blue set. This enables them to be cleanly extracted from the background through a process called blue screen matting. The digital department then composites or combines the living and deceased and gives the ghosts their spirit-like appearance.
From my point of view, I wanted ghosts that looked kind of traditional. I wanted the first second that you saw this character to say, ghost, that's a ghost. I've seen that before.
CG supervisors John Shields and Wayne Stables developed software dubbed the Ghost Look program, with settings to control the transparency and color of the ghost's interior, as well as the rim glow around its body.
The rim glow is just a diffused light that we could change the color on that would just meet up with the glowing interior of the ghost.
An added dimension is provided by a program called Warp, which slightly distorts the background behind the ghosts, as if they were refracting the light that passes through them.
I think I'm going to throw up.
But creating the ghost look is just the start. For this shot, which calls for one of the apparitions to throw up, John Shields begins by creating a 3D model of actor Jim Fife's head in the computer. He then animates the exaggerated action of the cheeks and eyes and renders a healthy dose of digital vomit. When all the pieces are integrated into a single image, one gets the idea that ghosts are subject to motion sickness too. One of the most colorful of the Frighteners is the Judge, played by veteran actor John Astin.
Oh, no. Now I can talk.
The Judge was a lot older than the other ghosts, and therefore he was in much more state of decay. And in fact, his whole midriff is missing, and he's only being held together by a spine from his waist to his torso.
To produce the illusion, CG supervisors Wayne Stables and Gray Horsefield had to generate the Judge's missing anatomy in the computer.
So we modeled various parts of him, including his pelvis, bones down here, his spine, a bit of his tailbone, and the odd bit of sort of dead flesh, for want of a better term, that was still adhering sort of tenaciously to the bones.
Stables then animates the CG midriff to match the movements of John Astin on set.
Could soon be time to lay my bones. It's frightening. It's a young man's game, Frank.
Talking about you're in great shape.
Don't go saying nothing to the boys, but my ectoplasm is all dried up.
Unlike the once human ghosts, the Judge's dog, Rustler, had to be created from scratch.
Although he's obviously decomposing, he's a bit flea-bitten and raggedy around the edges, we still wanted him to have a personality.
The physical effects team built a mechanical Rustler puppet for close-ups. And the digital team created its own CG canine, capable of running and getting into all sorts of trouble. While many of the Frighteners' ghosts were intended for laughs, one is dead serious.
It's like the Grim Reaper out of medieval sort of etchings and things, the figure with the cowl and the cape and the scythe. And he is a scary figure. I wanted a predator, something that moves in animalistic kind of ways and will get you no matter where you are. You can't escape.
Conceptual artist Christian Rivers spent 2 months experimenting with Reaper designs on paper.
It's sort of the cloak and the creature are one. It's like the cloak goes down and sort of forms into the hands and the hood.
The Reaper was further developed by filming tests with rod puppets and people in suits. With its character established, the Reaper's next step was in the digital realm.
And that is the first time that the predatorial nature of the figure really came alive, as far as I was concerned. When he came out of the computer, he suddenly looked scary.
After nearly 2 years of development and production down under, Peter Jackson's mix of friendly and deadly Frighteners has burst onto the screen. signaling the existence of special effects life beyond Hollywood.
In New Zealand, we've never been able to do blue screen matting. No lab in New Zealand has ever been able to do it. But suddenly we have this box sitting here in this building, and we can do the best blue screen mats in the world based on the software that's in that computer. It's accessible to anybody now, which I think is the most wonderful thing of all. I don't think The Frighteners necessarily puts New Zealand on the special effects map of the world. I think The Frighteners puts any country on the special effects map of the world.
The wicked will be punished.
Coming up, Ghost Effects Wizardry helps Slimer visit his favorite haunts. While the telling of ghost stories is as old as time, French director Georges Méliès amazed audiences by showing them one in his 1906 short film, The Mysterious Retort. Thus began a long tradition of celluloid ghosts that reached its heyday in the 1940s and 50s, when nearly every comedian spent a night in a haunted house.
One reason Paulette and I are such good ghost breakers is that we don't believe in ghosts. Or do I?
Occasionally, ghosts were meant to scare. In 1944, audiences packed theaters to be chilled by The Uninvited. The film, however, relied on psychological suspense, and the ghost was rarely seen. By 1981, when producer Steven Spielberg began work on Poltergeist, special effects had advanced to the point where dead characters could convincingly share screen time with the living. To realize his cast of spirits, Spielberg turned to industrial light and magic and visual effects supervisor Richard Edlund.
Poltergeist now was a ghost story set in contemporary times in the house next door. The effects scenes were really the punchlines for the film.
To achieve the startling shot of a giant beast lunging at Steve Freeling, played by Craig T. Nelson, Edlund utilized a technique called forced perspective. The camera was set up close to a miniature door, behind which was a puppet of the beast. Several feet back, a full-size door frame was carefully positioned so it would align with the foreground miniature. When filmed together, the seemingly gigantic monster and Nelson appeared to be just a few feet apart. One year after Poltergeist, Edlund opened his own visual effects company, Boss Film Studios, and found himself right back in the ghost business.
In August of '83, Boss Film was born. We're off and running on Ghostbusters, which we had just 10 months to do.
Not a long time to materialize a bizarre group of ghouls born in the mind of comedian Dan Aykroyd.
They are unhappy, vicious, hostile.
They're like relatives at a funeral, making outrageous demands of your time and sensibility.
Exactly.
Early in the film, the Ghostbusters encounter the apparition of an elderly librarian, which suddenly metamorphoses into a hideous spook. To accomplish the effect, the Boss crew took a life cast or body mold of the actress playing the librarian. This became the basis for an animatronic double engineered by effects designer Steve Johnson.
What I did on this is I had the neck stretch and sink and move forward, the head flatten, the eyes sink back in the sockets, the jaw unhinge and swing forward. The clothes were also rigged to tear off as this happened. It was all cable-controlled thing, and it was all operated by one person.
Ready? Get her!
Ghostbusters' most memorable apparition was a mischievous spewer of ectoplasm named Slimer.
He slimed me.
In reality, the ghost was puppeteer Mark Wilson inside a suit of 1-inch thick foam latex. Wilson's waist and legs, covered in black, would disappear when the film was later combined with location photography. Off-camera puppeteers controlled Slimer's facial expressions via cables, which necessitated his being performed from a fixed position. To create the illusion of flying, the camera was pushed on dolly tracks up to Slimer, making it appear that he was charging toward the camera.
Boys, ready?
There's a scene where he's very tired after running away from the Ghostbusters, and he's panting and flying around the chandelier. We just built a big turntable that the puppeteers could actually ride on.
Boss Film's innovative designs and special effects techniques helped make Ghostbusters one of the 80s biggest hits, reconfirming the special place held by ghosts in cinematic history.
Ghosts and American humor are linked forever by groups like the Bowery Boys, Abbott and Costello, Bob Hope. So we're just doing the modern version of the old-time ghost movies.
When movie magic reappears, a ghost from the past ushers in a new era for Hollywood spooks.
Fresh.
In 1995, a quartet of spooks arrived that even a Ghostbuster couldn't handle.
Who are you gonna call? Someone else.
For Industrial Light and Magic and digital character supervisor Dennis Murin, Casper and his 3 ornery uncles presented their biggest challenge yet.
They didn't move like cartoon characters. They had to move like human characters, and that was a style of animation that hadn't really been tackled before. Even though they were floating and ghosty characters, when you looked at them, you thought, yeah, at one time, these were humans.
Everybody clear?
Another significant challenge was creating the illusion that ghosts could move physical objects, whether a person or a glass of orange juice.
And for that, Michael Lantieri, the special effects man, and his staff suspended the orange juice glass actually on the set with a rod, and we painted the rod out.
The enormous task of breathing life into Casper's nearly 40 minutes of screen time was shared by 25 animators. To achieve consistency of character, a specially designed software program was utilized which could morph or transition between preset facial expressions. The animator would then embellish and add nuance to the performance. Another tool was employed by some of the animators in creating lip sync. Light-sensitive markers were attached to a performer's face and photographed. Movement data was then translated by computer into the digital character's facial articulation. Again, the animator would add subtleties to create the ghost's final lip sync.
I'm Casper. Sup, give me 4.
You know, we're in a transitionary state in this industry now, and there may never be one right way to do it, but at least for a while, we're trying to give all the tools that the animators need, because the animator is the actor, and he should have the tools he needs to act.
It took 18 months for Murin and his team to complete Casper's 330 ghost shots. But behind their efforts was the knowledge that the movie's success would fall on the ethereal shoulders of its title character, and the power of visual effects to make the audience believe.
Boo?
With Casper having paved the way in the creation of computer-generated ghosts that convincingly interact with the environment, The Frighteners was ready to apply digital technology to a dark spirit that becomes the environment.
When we sat down to write The Frighteners, we started with a creepy house with a guy scuttling under the wallpaper, and that was like the first thing that we ever wrote. And I just liked the idea. It seemed to be something kind of creepy about a figure who scuttles behind the wallpaper and makes it bulge as he runs along, or he can zip down under the carpet and the carpet bulges along.
The job of developing this unique character known as Surface Man was given to CG supervisor Matt Aitken.
Basically what we came up with was an approach where a figure would be animated by somebody in character animation, actually carrying out the actions that we wanted the figure under the carpet or under the wall to perform.
Software developed by Aitken is then utilized to digitally cover or wrap the figure in the surface it is traveling through. Animating Surface Man is particularly difficult because the character's movements must match footage already filmed on set.
He had to like scuttle very fast, but without it looking stupid. You know, he had to really look like he was scuttling at a speed that he could make that distance.
For Jackson and the team at Weta Effects, digital technology also offered the opportunity to add an incredible amount of detail to the Surface Man shots.
I guess if there's one shot in the movie that I'm particularly proud of, it's a short shot where Surface Man comes running along a kitchen bench top towards the camera, I had to, as well as creating the bench surface with the figure running along under it, all the plates, the sinks themselves, which bounce out and settle back in again, are all computer generated. It's over in less than 2 seconds, but I think I spent about a month working on it.
It's a great time to be a filmmaker with this revolution of special effects which is happening. I mean, 100 years ago, the motion picture camera was developed. It's been the only way that we could create an image to project on film, but now you can create an image in this little plastic box. And for the first time, I think, filmmakers now can imagine, you know, anything that they want to and write it into a screenplay.
With The Frighteners, Peter Jackson and his team of visual effects wizards have conjured a gathering of ghouls that will join the haunting casts of Poltergeist, Ghostbusters, and Casper in the Ghost Film Hall of Fame. The challenge for all these artists has been making the audience believe, perhaps to the point of convincing themselves.
Do I believe in ghosts? Oh, of course, yeah. They're my bread and butter.
I do believe in ghosts. I like to believe because I think it's kind of more fun to believe than not to believe, which would be really boring.
The subject of life after death has been pondered from time immemorial. But until proven otherwise, who's to say that ghosts like the ones born of movie magic don't really exist?
When your number's up, that's it.